All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Friday, May 26th. Fuck it. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat Clayton. It is a holiday weekend. There are more movies coming out this weekend than we could count, but we're going to try and count them all, preview them all. I mean, let's just get into it. Clayton, it's Little Mermaid weekend. How are you feeling on this high holiday?
Good. I'm feeling good. I mean, listen,
Are you well
this
rested?
am I well rested?
Yeah, you well rested, ready for this big weekend. All these big movies. Are
No,
you well
no.
rested?
Listen, there's no rest for the wicked, as they say. We're not
Hmm.
rested. We're looking at numbers. We're looking at tracking. There's no time to rest.
Good.
You
I'm
know.
glad that's what you said. If you said you were well rested, I would have freaked the F out. So
Exactly. I
glad
knew
to
that was
hear
a
you're
trick.
tired.
I'm not
Yeah.
falling to that trap. I am excited for this movie. I'm excited
Hmm.
for it to finally come out.
Yep.
Any of these movies that are Twitter fodder annoy me. The conversation annoys me. The movie itself does not annoy me. The
Right.
conversation.
The
I want
controversies
the
annoy you.
controversies just need to end. This thing needs to be watched by the people it's intended for, which is
Hmm.
children.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes. And
children,
keepers of children and guardians. This is
guardians,
for children
parents,
and guardians.
guardians, and children. Okay, this is Little Mermaid is one of the four jewels of the 90s and late 80s Disney Renaissance.
I mean, it's the one
Everybody,
that kicked it off. 89. Disney with their animation. They were in the doghouse. They're putting out for the Sorcerer and the Stone and all that other BS that was flopping in the early
mhm,
80s.
Black Cauldron.
Black Cauldron, and then Little Mermaid comes out in 89, and it's a new renaissance, and it's Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, Lion King. Those other three movies, they've already had their live action remakes. Mermaid is the last one of the golden Renaissance era to get its live action remake.
Yep.
And I to me the only question is, can this possibly be the biggest of them? There is no world in which this is not giant. It is more, is this truly the biggest? Well, I guess it can't be, because Lion King made like a billion and a half
Oh,
or
and
whatever
Beauty and
that
the
made,
Beast.
and
I
it can't.
think I think right now what we need to worry about is this thing going to open big? Is this going to
Yes,
open
yes.
plus over 100? And I
Hmm.
think the answer is yes. I think the answer is a resounding yes. I mean, now if we're talking 3-day, that's a bigger question, right? If it goes over
Hmm.
103-day, I mean, it'll definitely go over 104-day.
Hmm.
If it
Hmm.
doesn't, that's a disaster.
That's a disaster, but that's not going to happen.
No,
That's not
but
going to happen.
does it get to that beautiful round 100 number, maybe 100 plus in the 3-day weekend? Right? That's, I think, the big question.
Right, right.
Do people want to be part of this world?
Right, right. And you look at the other live action remakes of those Disney classics. Those all opened over 100 million for the 3-day. And I'm looking, I
Mhm.
think Aladdin in 2019 opened basically this same weekend. I'm pretty sure that was a Memorial weekend. And yes, it was May 24th, 2019. Okay,
Mhm.
that opened to 91 million for the 3-day. So it didn't
Okay.
get to 100, but it was over 100 for the 4-day weekend, but not the
So
3-day weekend.
going deeper, Aladdin, did it have any competition?
Let's
Like,
see. So the
did it have a
so
week 2 of something big?
so Aladdin came out May 24th, 2019, and it was these were the new movies opening this weekend. Brightburn, which is the
Oh,
James Gunn uh uh faux Superman as a kid movie, that
well,
opened
he
to
produced it.
7.8
It
million.
was his brother, I think, that actually was the creative engine behind that.
Right, right. He produced it, and Booksmart came out that
Mm.
weekend and opened to 6.9. So the short answer is no. It didn't
Yeah.
have anything huge opening against it. Though actually Aladdin in 2019 opened to the second weekend of Avengers Endgame.
Makes sense.
Oh, no, no,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me just double check that. Yes, that looks like it was the second weekend of Avengers Endgame. Yeah.
Okay, so that definitely makes sense because 91 felt low for that. But the other thing too, when you think about that Aladdin movie, is that people were not 100% sure about that movie. That some people thought that was going to be a disaster. Some people thought that Will Smith genie looked ridiculous, but then it ended up being a huge, obviously huge hit. Good word of mouth, kids loved it. Star performance by Will Smith, and so I do think that that movie may have lost a little bit of money to the phenomenon that was Endgame.
And correction there. I looked at the graph incorrectly. This was the fifth weekend of Endgame. It's the fifth
Uh,
weekend of Endgame. It's the second weekend of John Wick 3. So
okay,
apologies
so
there. And
forget everything I just said,
everything you just said was based
except
off of,
for
except for,
until, oh, wait, no, except for the fact that people were dubious about this Aladdin. And I
yes, they
do
were dubious.
think that more people went to see it, but by the end of the week than they did, in this first weekend. They saw it the next weekend or after that. That movie had really great legs because I think it was a combination of the director, right?
Hmm.
And the star, Will, being, can he do, can he be that sort of character? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Well, and that people wanted to see an Aladdin movie, and I think Aladdin is a great comp for this Little Mermaid in that heading into Aladdin, there was a lot of hand wringing. Oh, the trailers were bad, or people not going to
Hmm.
want to see this. And then the movie opened, and kids wanted to see the live action Aladdin, and
Hmm.
Guardians had to take their kids to see the live action Aladdin, and weeks went on and kids kept wanting to see the live action Aladdin. That is what's going to happen with this Little Mermaid movie.
Yeah.
All of this online Twitter BS will be meaningless because it is the Little Mermaid and kids are going to want to go see this.
They're
It's going
gonna
to be
wanna
gigantic.
sing Under the Sea. I mean, who
Yes.
doesn't love Under the Sea? I mean, this one has some really great songs, as all of them do. I don't know, they probably added songs because they padded out the one issue I have with this, and this is just aesthetically in the
Hmm.
sense that they keep getting longer and longer, these live action remakes, and I
Yes.
think that is because the Nielsen ratings for streaming is all about hours streamed. So
Wow.
when this goes on Disney Plus, they're gonna want, I was about to say Bob Chapstick, but he's long gone.
No, he's in the dirt.
Iger is gonna want this movie to get eyeballs for a long
Hmm.
time. That's why these things are so long, is because it's
Yes.
all about as long as you can stare at a screen when it comes to the Nielsen's for streaming. So that's my theory. I have nothing backing that up other than
That's a
intuition.
that's
It,
great intuition. Yeah.
yeah. And the fact that
Totally.
they're really pushing Disney Plus as the home for all this stuff. Obviously, they want to own every child's eyeballs. And the
Yeah.
longer those eyeballs are pasted to the screen watching Little Mermaid, the bigger this movie looks on streaming.
Yep. That is such, no one ever talks about why these movies are so much longer. And you're right. It's for the streaming watch time because the original Little Mermaid is a tidy like 84 minutes.
Hmm.
And that does not do it for Disney Plus, having the kids just watch 84 minutes. So they add six more songs that no one likes,
Yeah.
but it keeps them there an extra 45 minutes. And that's huge.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to affect the box office. I don't think, even aside from the controversy, I see all of these people on Twitter. Oh, the frame, it isn't as colorful as the cartoon. It's not. Yeah, it's not going to be as good. It's not
No.
going to be as good. But guess what? That will not matter because
Hmm.
kids will just want to see the talking fish sing the talking fish song.
Hmm.
That's what the kids care about.
Yeah.
Um,
And isn't Flounder played by Jacob Tremblay?
let's take a look at this Little Mermaid cast and see if there are any I think, value adds who will bring anything extra to this movie. So let's see. Jacob Tremblay is Flounder. That is big. Jacob Tremblay is a movie star.
Yes.
He had the movie Wonder with Julia Roberts, and he had Good Boys, which he was the above the title draw for that. He
Yeah.
is a movie star. He's going to bring the kids in as
Yes.
Flounder. Then you have got, I mean, Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. You know, she's sort of in the Will Smith as the genie spot. Everyone likes Melissa McCarthy. And I think there's going to be a lot of goodwill for the fact that Melissa McCarthy is in a big movie that's not directed and written by Ben Falcone. I do think people are going to be really happy about that.
Yes. Yes. I don't think she's at the caliber of Will Smith, where he was when Aladdin came out.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's not a one to one here. Like, she definitely is the sort of, you know, generational star that is in this movie. But I just, and I also, we heard, and I think, I don't know if it was Jeff Bacher who was saying it. Like, I don't think she's really, she's not the center of this the way Will Smith was the genie. I
No,
mean, like,
no.
when people remember that movie, they remember him.
Hmm.
I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think what they'll remember is the young woman who's playing the Little Mermaid,
Yes, yes.
which it
And
should be, because that's what that movie was. The original movie was about, and the other movie, Aladdin, was about the genie.
was about the genie. Yes. And I think that Haley Halle Bailey is going to be a big plus for this Little Mermaid movie. And listen, she's not someone who is very known to you and I, Clayton, which is
Hmm.
good because we are not the age group that should be knowing everything there is to know about Haley Bailey. We
Yeah.
shouldn't we shouldn't know anything about her, or else I think the police would have to be keeping tabs on us. It is good that we don't have posters of her on our wall and are
Hmm.
intimately familiar with all of her works. But what I do
Yes.
know is she's on Grownish, which is a TV show that ran for like 4 years, so there's an audience there. And more importantly, she makes her own music, and the young people like her music and are buying her music, and she's bringing an audience that is her own. And
Yeah.
that is what you want when you're casting a young star in this, is someone who's going to bring their own audience to the movie. She's going to do that. We're not in that audience, which
No.
is good. We should
Good.
not be in that audience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what? Everyone's going to want to see this movie. And I think it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a very diverse audience, which whenever we go through the demos after movie openings, it's always better when you see a more diverse audience come to a movie. That only means more people are going to go. And I think you're going to probably have Black audiences over index for this opening weekend,
Hmm.
which is great. That helps the box office. And I think
Yeah.
she, in the end, after whatever BS controversies were online, she's going to be a big plus for this movie this weekend.
Hmm. Yeah. So, Pat, do you want to just say what we think is going to happen here with this,
Y-
numbers wise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the tracking here on Box Office Pro,
Yeah.
and they are giving a 3-day weekend estimated at 117.8. So they are starting to come in high, which is great.
Hmm.
The tracking on this is going up and up, and their
Yeah.
4-day tracking is in a range of 130 to 155. So, I mean, it's interesting because you look at Beauty and the Beast as a comp, the
Yeah.
last princess movie, throw out Lion King, throw out Aladdin even. Aladdin's not
Mhm.
a princess movie. The princess movie, Beauty and the Beast, that got to 174 in a 3-day weekend in March. So
Yeah.
that's the highest end of this. And I don't think Little Mermaid, I don't think any of us think it's getting there. But it does make me think that For a 3-day, this is Little Mermaid's going to open on the high end of expectations. I think it could do. I'm going to go 128 for the 3-day
Mhm.
and 160 for the 4-day.
I love it. The thing that I think Little Mermaid has going for it, you mentioned the princess aspect of this. Now, what in this top 10, and I don't wanna genderdize, but I'm going to just for the purposes of this because a lot of little girls like princesses, right? I mean, this is something that I think I can say with some sort of, I don't wanna say authority, but it's something that we historically know has been the case, right?
Yeah. Hey, I think Princess Peach was a big factor in Super Mario Brothers doing so
Yeah,
well.
and I was gonna say is that other than that, which is in its what? I mean, this movie's been out for what? How many weeks now at this point, Super Mario Brothers? They've had their fill of Princess Peach.
Mhm.
Nothing
Mhm.
else here is for the little girls.
No.
Fast X isn't, Guardians of the Galaxy isn't, About My Father's not gonna be.
No.
The Machine, God forbid, of course not. Kandahar, Evil Dead Rise, none of this stuff, right,
None of this
is
for little
for
girls.
little girls. So I do think, the rats need their cheese and
Mhm.
the little lady rats need their cheese as well.
Mhm.
So I do think this is going to do really, really well. I'm going to go 120 for 3-day. And then I'm gonna go at the highest of this tracking here, and I'm gonna go 155.
Okay.
But I think this could go higher. I definitely think this could go higher.
I mean, in all honesty, okay, so looking at just comparing it to Super Mario Brothers in April, that movie opened to 146 in the 3-day and
Uh,
204 in the 4-day weekend.
yeah.
Um, God, I mean, could
Don't go crazy here, Pat,
no,
because
no, no,
here's the
I'm not
thing
gonna go
about
crazy, but
Mario.
but could Little Mermaid get to 180 in the 4-day? I'm going 170. I don't think there's a world. I think there's a world in which this does get to 180 for the 4-day. I could see that.
I mean, it all depends on how good this buzz is audience-wise once people see it, right?
Yeah.
I also think it's like this is not new. The Mario Brothers was a
Yes. First
IP
time.
that
Yeah.
hadn't been exploited.
Yeah.
They did an expert job of promoting it. And I think they've done a really good job with Little Mermaid too. I mean, everybody knows Little Mermaid's coming out. I mean, the biggest challenge is to cut through all of the Mishigash
Mhm.
and people knowing when a movie's coming out. That's probably
Yep.
I mean, even more so than this is gonna be a good movie
Yep.
or any of that stuff. It's when is this movie going out?
Yes.
When is it coming out? That's the biggest message you can get across. And they have
Yep.
effectively said that Mermaid owns this holiday weekend.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is Little Mermaid
Yes.
weekend. Love it, hate it, or shrug about it. You know it's coming out.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, everyone knows. Yeah, the marketing has done what it had to do. People know it's here. Kids are excited about it, and they're getting out of school early. I mean, this is
Mhm.
going to be an absolute monster this weekend. I think it
Yeah.
could hit 180 for the 4-day. I think
That
that
would
is
be
possible.
amazing, and you know what? I hope it does. I
Of
I hope it
course.
does. I hope this thing goes as big as it can go because at the end of the day, yes, I mean, if we're getting into it, I mean, it is another product from Disney. They're exploiting their old IPs, but if
It's
we're
their
being
IP
cynical,
though. It's not my IP. If
yeah,
they're going
and
to
that's the
exploit
thing
an
is
IP, exploit your own IP. That's what I say to everyone. Exploit your own IP. Don't exploit your neighbor's IP when they're
but
not
that's a
looking, but
but it
exploit your own IP.
yes, but it's I mean, that's one of the commandments,
Yes.
but, "Thou shalt not exploit thy neighbor's IP."
Mhm.
But I think just, call me whatever this weekend, but these little kids who want to see this movie. It doesn't mean anything to them other than, oh, here's a princess underwater who's a mermaid. That sounds cool. Oh, and
Yep.
she sings. Oh, and
Yep.
I know her from that show. Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be
Right.
great.
Right.
I usually am in school and I'm watching a mermaid sing.
Right. Right.
This is
Sing songs I
awesome.
already know. That which is the
Th-
thing a kid wants more than anything is the thing they already like.
So to be completely uncynical, good. I'm
Mhm.
glad. I'm glad for this. Good for this
Mhm.
movie. Good for those
Yeah.
kids. Have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if $180 million worth of people go see this movie, good. That means $180 million worth of people had a good fucking vacation.
Yes. 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 No,
Nice. There we
this
go.
is very exciting. We're both excited for this movie. It's going to be huge, and it's Disney exploiting its own IP, which is totally
Mhm.
fine. It's
Yeah,
totally
of course.
moral. Okay, so there are movies opening against The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And luckily there are no movies that are opening against The Little Mermaid going for the same audience. There are 3 movies opening against it. I think that are all splitting the audience amongst themselves. But
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird. These release dates for these 3 movies about my father, which is the
yeah.
Sebastian Maniscalco
Mhm.
and Robert De Niro comedy,
Yep. Yep.
Kandahar, starring the man, the myth, the star, Jerry Butler,
Mhm.
and then The Machine,
Yeah.
starring Bert Kreischer,
Yeah.
all coming out in the same weekend, which is
Mhm.
the one that's crazy to me is The Machine and About My Father. Like 2 comedies coming out the same weekend, and I know one is skewing way older, About My
Well,
Father.
but they're both comedies that are based on the acts of stand-up comedians, and it's not like there are movies like that coming out every weekend. I mean,
Mhm.
studio big screen comedies are so rare these days,
Yeah.
and stand-up comedians getting films based off their act are so rare these days. How
Yeah.
is it possible that 2 of these movies had to open on the exact same day? It feels like it's just demeasuring between these 2 stand-up comedians, where Sebastian Maniscalco and Bert Kreischer, they neither of them are gonna back off. You know, they see each other at the clubs, they run into each other at the Chuckle Hut and Banana Shack in Sheboygan, and
Yeah.
they both have these movies scheduled for the same date, and neither of them are gonna do the smart thing and move their movie because it's just demeasuring.
Yeah, Sebastian Maniscalco, though, doesn't his audience skew older than Kreischer's audience, I feel like, is under 40, and I feel like Sebastian Maniscalco's audience is over 40.
Yes, like Sebastian Maniscalco is gonna be someone whose videos my mom sends me that she saw on Facebook.
Yes.
And Bert Kreischer is gonna be a video that I don't have a nephew, but if I had a nephew, my
Yeah.
nephew would send me, I guess, the link to his appearance on Rogan. I don't know. But
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
like it's a nephew versus mother situation with these comics.
yeah. I
But
mean, I'll t
in the end though, I still think they're still going after an audience that wants to go see a movie based on the act of a male stand-up comedian.
here's the thing. I will use, my own personal experience here in that with my YouTube algorithm, I looked
Mhm.
up one interview with Mark Norman, great comic,
Yes.
great, great comic.
Yep.
Watched one interview with him,
Mhm.
and what I got fed was a ton of Bert Kreischer after that, right?
Okay.
Bert Kreischer
Okay.
here, Bert Kreischer that. Hearing that whole crew of I don't want to name the rest of them because they don't matter in this conversation,
They
but I
don't
was
matter.
never once fed a Sebastian Maniscalco
Mhm.
video
Okay.
from watching or trying to not watch auto playing Bert Kreischer videos, right?
Okay.
So they are not the same demo, dude. They are not in that same camp.
If
You're
you had
definitely
if you had done a YouTube search and watched a video where someone ate a bowl of pasta into a camera for 14 minutes straight, and that was the video you watched, do you think the recommended videos next to that would have been Sebastian Maniscalco stand-up clips?
were they if they were shirtless, it'd be Bert Kreischer. Like I don't
Okay.
think I
Mm.
think if I had watched yeah, I don't know. I see. I just think he's such an older. I think he's sort of a Joe Coy. Like I feel like that's the level that he is, where he doesn't have. Sebastian Maniscalco does not have a podcast that millions of people listen to.
No, I mean,
He's a
he
touring
is
stand-up.
huge.
He's known, but the thing is, it's not the same audience.
It's
Sebastian
not the same
Maniscalco
audience.
does not
Okay.
have a young audience. Bert Kreischer has a young audience. So we're looking at honestly, dude, is the book club audience going to go see this movie with De Niro and Sebastian Maniscalco? And
Wow.
are the like Barstool bros gonna go see the Burt Kreischer movie?
Well, let's drill down for a second on the Bert Kreischer movie, The Machine. So
Yeah.
I know nothing about Bert Kreischer. I don't think I've ever listened to a podcast where he's been a guest, where he's been a host, where he's ads for his podcast have been played on the. I know nothing about him.
Well, you've heard
Uh,
him on Who Are These Podcasts, though.
I've never heard anything about him. So I want
Really?
to just quickly watch. I know he's a larger guy who's shirtless a lot.
Okay.
I am aware of him in the public consciousness. I want to just as we talk, I'm just going to start playing the official Red Band trailer for The Machine in the background.
Okay. Will
So
all
I'm watching
audience be able
this.
to hear this?
No, I mean, I'm just gonna talk through. So he's in Russia in the 60s, so he's shirtless, and there's Russian people. So is this about a young him, I guess? It looks like there's an actor playing a young him. Then they're cutting to him doing stand-up. So it's sort of like a Seinfeld conceit where it's like some of him in the club and then some of the story. Now there is so much guys being shirtless. There's women by a pool. Now Bert Kreischer is like trying to get a shirt on, but it's like small because he's big. Now he's at a party. Mark Hamill is there. So here's what I'm getting from watching this trailer, Clayton. This could be like a breakout party movie. Like it's a thing we used to get in the 90s and even the 2000s, like just a movie to go to where guys are going to go because there's dudes and chicks partying. Like, do you think there is any breakout potential for this because it's a party comedy with dudes and chicks
Well, it's
partying?
not a party comedy, it's an action comedy.
Okay, now, yeah, now, oh, someone does have a plastic bag over their head and they're screaming. But you get that kind of stuff in the Hangover movies where it's like people partying and then violence, but they're always drunk. Like he looks like he's going to be drunk the whole movie. He's taking his shirt off again. Like in this trailer, there's like 11 or 12 shots where he has a shirt on and then takes it off.
Well, that's his thing. And this movie, the trailer looks like The Hangover 3, which just turned into a crime movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just watching a scene where he shoots someone and then that causes three other people to shoot each other. So it is going to be very violent. But I think that his shirt is off again. He just lit a cigar with a machine gun. I I don't know. Watching that trailer, I think this could be a sleeper hit?
Um, Here's what this reminds me of.
Okay.
Now, this is his famous bit that he talks about, this Russian machine. He was called the Machine. This is the story that made his career, right?
Okay.
This to me feels like a Chuck Barris situation. You know Chuck Barris, the host of the Gong Show, who claimed
Uh-huh.
he was a assassin for the government, and
Yes,
George
yes.
Clooney directed a movie
Confessions
about
of a
it.
Dangerous Mind. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. This is a tall tale, obviously. I mean, there may be some truth to it, whatever. But when you say breakout, what are we talking even with a comedy, right?
Well,
Because I know Austin, wannabe oh boy
I
Austin, sent us an email, and he thinks
mhm.
this could be this could open bigger than people are expecting. He's going like 8 million on this when everybody else is going between 3 and 5 because he
He's
thinks he's in that young demographic. So
right.
he may know that those people might not be tracked the way that people who are like, I'm not going to see Little Mermaid because blah, 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 right? These guys, whoever are going to see this movie, are out drinking on Friday nights. They're not tweeting about controversies online, right? They're
Mhm.
just listening to their Burt Kreischer podcast and their Barstool Sports podcast. And they are then just either getting wasted at a bar and just going over to the theater to after they puke and rally to see the Machine. They're not trackable people.
Mhm. Mhm. They're off the grid.
They're not off the grid, but they're not going to be like, yo, going to see the Machine tonight or going to see the Machine in 2 weeks. It's like they're not going to do that. They're just going to do what they want to do. They're
Right.
animals. They will move in a herd. So if the alpha says let's go to see the Machine, then all of them will follow.
Right.
So you just need some strong alphas to push people to this movie.
I mean, here's just I'm just gonna pull out some quotes from what Austin says. And again, Austin is a young guy who's just full of life, living life, loving life. And he says, and now the movie I really want to talk about, and this is all caps, the motherfucking machine. So right there is an
Wow.
enthusiasm that a young man feels for this Burt Kreischer movie, the motherfucking machine. That's what he calls it. So
Mhm.
uh back to Austin's email. Side note, I am an absolute sucker for these kind of dumb, sophomoric, fat guy falling down kind of comedies. One of my all-time favorite movies when I was a kid was Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Mhm.
And he
That is
says,
actually Paul Blart is underrated. I watched that recently, and it is a fun movie.
okay. I trust you. I may or may not have seen that. I honestly don't remember. But he says, setting aside my personal biases, I think this might be in for a slight overperformance for the weekend. I think because this movie has no tracking of when I'm sending this. I'm just going off vibes. But he says he went to a movie recently. He went to a string of movies, and the only trailers that popped with my crowd were for The Machine and Strays.
Mhm.
I think this movie looks like a ton of fun. And he says, this is from Austin. I do believe there's a bit of Stacks appeal here too, as this kind of undemanding, easy, but also blatantly not right wing comedy does have middle America appeal. Burt Kreischer does have some sort of fan base. I mean, again, I watched that trailer just now,
Mhm.
and it's fat guy falling down. There's a moment in the trailer where he takes his shirt off and then he tries to do a kip up and he can't do it because he's a fat guy and he falls on his big butt. And that's the type of thing we don't get in big screen comedies anymore. Just
Mhm.
a fat guy drinking and trying to do something, and instead he falls on his butt. And
Yeah.
there's a void that the machine might be filling this weekend. And it's obviously counter programming to the big movie that's coming out.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's going for a young audience, and that young audience isn't being tracked because they're partying and they're doing their thing. And then they just wake up and go see the movie they want to see.
Yeah. I like Box Office Pro.
Mhm.
is putting About My Father above The Machine, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, if About My Father does what Easter Sunday did, which was the Joe Coy movie, which opened in the low fives,
Yep. Open to 5.4. Yeah. In
which
August of
that's what
22.
About My Father, that's the same exact, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
not the same ethnic makeup, but it definitely is the same amount of people will go see About My Father. That this
Mhm.
movie, Lionsgate, is in dire straits. They have not been able to promote this movie. We barely knew this movie was coming out.
Mhm.
And if we don't
Mhm.
know this movie's coming out, then that is bad. I think The Machine makes more than it. And I'd go with Austin, man. Why am I going
Yep.
to argue with Austin here when he's tapped into the
Yep.
youngsters? He's tapped into the young males.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, I mean, he's in the locker rooms, he's snapping towels, he's doing reps,
Yep.
he's doing all that shit.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I feel like I'll go with him on that. I'll go 8 on this.
Yeah, I mean, and he's going I think 11 for the 4-day, 11 million 4-day. I mean, this movie wakes up on Monday morning, Tuesday morning with 11 million in the bank. That's a big start for a
That's
movie based on the act of a stand-up comedian in
yeah.
2023. That's a big start. Is there any chance this movie goes wild and All About Your Father just does nothing? I mean, All About Your Father, All About My
It could make
Father
3. I mean, that
could
could
make
make
3
$3,000,000. Yeah.
easily. And something like The Machine, I think, is one of those movies that if dudes go see it, we're recording this Thursday night. If they're seeing it tonight, they see it Friday night, and it's awesome. And when I say
Mhm.
awesome, it's these dudes think it's awesome.
Well, it's what
And
they
that word's
expect from a Burt Kreischer movie, right? If
yes,
it's what
yes,
they expect, if it's not
yes,
neutered, if it's violent and there's puking and there's partying and there's fat guys falling down and he takes his shirt off, like what you want from a Burt Kreischer movie, if it is that,
yep.
then there's no limit to what this could do.
Yeah, because I do think this is a movie where word could travel that if it's quote unquote awesome and yeah, like you said, gives that audience what they want, it could really go up big on Saturday and Sunday.
And it could not have the NBA, playoff commercials. It could not have all that stuff. But
Mhm.
this guy's on a fucking 1,000 podcasts a week. You know he's shoving it down people's throats. He's been shoving it down people's throats for months,
Yeah.
right? And that is something that's not tracked. These mentions on podcasts, right? And so that's the thing is like there could be a wider audience that knows about this than is being tracked. And they,
Yes.
like I said, they may not be going on their app in order to book a ticket. They're going to
Mhm.
walk up to the window, half in the fucking bag, and be like, me and my bros, you know, 6 of them,
Yep.
6 tickets for the fucking machine.
Yep. That's the other thing here is these bros travel in packs.
Yes.
And they're all gonna go to the bar later that night, and they're all gonna go to the diner later that night, and they're gonna go in a big pack.
Mhm.
And you could be scared of that pack or whatever, you could be wary about seeing this pack, but when
Mhm.
that pack shows up and buys 6 to 18 tickets for one showing in the machine, the movie theater is gonna be psyched that these frat guys are traveling in a pack.
And here's an underrated thing about this movie too, and I know, like, at some point, we've talked about this forever, box office needs to start integrating, the food that they buy, I can't think of the
The
concessions.
concessions, yes, yes.
You're telling me that a pack of 6 dudes going to see Burt Kreischer's The Machine
Mhm,
after hopping bars for
mhm.
3 hours aren't gonna buy pretzel bites and nachos and hot
Yes.
dogs and giant sodas,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is gonna be a group of people who are going to devour. They're going to eat you out of house and home over there. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
that's one of those things where this movie could be highly profitable for theaters, even if it doesn't sell as many tickets as the Maniscalco
Right,
movie, which I don't think is
right.
going to be the case. I think the Maniscalco movie is going to bomb. I think it's going to
Yeah,
tank.
yeah. And the
I think it
audience
does
coming
less than Easter Sunday.
I agree. I agree because Easter Sunday also came out in August of 22 when there was nothing coming out, and it was like
Hmm.
surprisingly like a big-ish movie for what else was out. Yeah, the Sebastian Maniscalco audience is going to come with food in their jackets.
Hmm.
This is going to be an older
Yes.
audience that is popping open Tupperware
Oh,
containers to eat leftovers. But
this is
the
a hard candy crowd. This is
yes,
a hard
yes,
candy, yeah, like the wrappers
yep.
wrinkling and crinkling,
Yeah,
yes.
but the audience coming to see the machine, these frat packs, they are gonna eat a lot and they'll eat anything. This is the theater's chance to get rid of those old hot dogs and those
Yes.
curdled nacho cheese because these dudes will eat stuff on a dare. The
Yeah.
manager, if you're the manager of a theater this weekend, when you see the audience coming for the machine, you'd look at them and you say, "I bet you wouldn't eat that hot dog." And they'll eat 10 of the oldest hot dogs you got
You know how there
because
are
they wanna
themed
puke.
you know how some of the higher end theater chains have themed cocktails and
Mhm.
themed entrees for films?
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
said, this is a chance. This is the machine dog, which is
Mm.
this is the oldest hot dogs we have,
Yep.
right? And this is a roulette. This is like hot dog roulette, right? You might be fine, or you might have the runs, or you might get dysentery. We don't
Right.
know, but
Right.
that is part of the charm. $10 a dog. See what's up,
Right.
right? And all their
Right.
buddies are going to be like, "You got to do it, bro. You got to do it. I'll do it if you do it. You got to do it. You got to do it, right?"
Right.
'Cause it's all about peer pressure.
Yep.
And so that's I mean, that's these are endless possibilities for these theater chains. If I'm a theater chain, I'm putting this into action Friday night.
Yes. 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 You have to have dare food ready for
Yeah.
the audience for the machine. Yeah, because 'cause
Are
they're gonna
you are
wanna
you enough of a machine to eat this hot dog?
Yep. Yep. That'll yeah, and you could charge whatever you want for it
The
because
puke and rally
these
dog, whatever you wanna call it.
yes, yes, because these dudes, they wanna puke, and they want to, send pictures of it to Bert Kreischer on Instagram. They want the machine to know that they ate the machine dog or the puke and rally dog at a
Yeah.
screening of the machine.
I love it. I love this.
Yeah, the more we talk about it and having seen this trailer with the sound off and reading Austin's email, I am very bullish on the machine this weekend. And one of our listeners, he goes by the handle Bill Brasky on social
Oh,
media. He's a big comedy guy.
yeah.
And I am sure right now he is listening to this episode, the BO Boys, with a big smile on his face because we're predicting this could be a weekend when comedy starts to make a comeback at the box office. And also it's a nice way of getting the getting everything ready for when No Hard Feelings opens in June. Get
And then
people to remember
Strays later in
and then
August.
yeah.
Strays could be big because you know what? I'm seeing a lot of commercials for Strays during the NBA,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, this
and
is
it's the
th-
exact crowd that you want.
this is potentially the start of a little renaissance at the box office for comedy, but we both agree the Sebastian Maniscalco De Niro movie is going to tank.
Now, let's quickly talk about Kandahar, the Jerry
Yeah.
Butler action film that's opening. Box Office Pro has it between 2.5 and $5 million. This is an open road situation.
Oh
This just
boy.
feels like a dump to me because you're gonna put this out second weekend of Fast X.
Mhm.
I mean, this
Mhm.
just feels to me like, listen, we love Jerry Butler and he can make I mean, listen, he made Plane I don't want to say hit, but Plane made more money because he was in it than anybody else.
Right. But
Uh,
Plane just has had such a fun vibe to it in the marketing.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna read just real quick the one sentence plot of Kandahar. So
Okay.
Kandahar is about Tom Harris, an undercover CIA operative, is stuck deep in hostile territory in Afghanistan. When an intelligence leak exposes his identity and mission, he must fight his way out alongside his Afghan translator to an extraction point in Kandahar. I mean,
We
here's the
just had the
thing.
Covenant. We
We just
just
had the
had the
Covenant,
Covenant.
and that ate it. Like, people do not want these war action movies right
They don't
now.
want to see they don't you know what they want to honestly they want to see World War 1 or World War 2.
Yeah,
They don't want to see Vietnam. They don't want to see the what Desert Storm. They don't want to see the Iraq Afghanistan wars. They don't want to see those. I mean,
yeah.
maybe they want to see Vietnam here and there,
No, I
depending.
think you're wrong. I think Vietnam is still a hit
They don't
war.
want to see they don't want to see the Korean War. They don't want to see
Well,
um
I think people
Kosovo.
I think they don't wanna see wars from the '90s and on. Listen, it is just a huge litany of box office bombs, your jarheads that, uh, they don't wanna see these post 1990 wars as
Mhm.
action movies. These genuinely do not do well, and it just doesn't promise the light fun that a Plane promised back in January.
Yeah.
And also it's open road, and at this point, open road really seems like it's just there to put out these Liam Neeson movies, and,
Mhm.
um, this one feels like, God, it
Total
could
dump.
total dump. I mean, it could make, like, less than 2,000,000, honestly.
There's just no audience share for it. I mean, I do think that the
Mhm.
Machine audience would go see a Gary Butler movie. The Machine audience probably saw Plane,
Right.
but the
Yes.
Fast X audience saw Plane as well. I mean, that's the thing is that this dropping second weekend of Fast X is insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the action
Pardon
movies
me.
that feels more like a drama than a
Yeah.
fun action movie, and that's always been a tough sell, but I think more and more these days, you gotta promise fun to get people to go out to a theater, or you have to promise a movie that's great, and Kandahar is not gonna be a great movie. This is not gonna
No.
be Platoon or something. This is gonna be a relatively bad movie that's also dreary, and that
Mhm.
is just poison at the box office.
All right, well, let's do our top 5s then,
Let's
Pat.
do
Do
it.
you wanna
Let's
go
do it.
first? You want me to go first?
Why don't you go first? I'll give you the
Okay.
honor of going first.
Lovely. Little Mermaid number 1 slam doink. I mean,
Slam
the
doink.
slam doinkiest of all slam doinks.
Yep.
I said 120 for the weekend, 3-day, and then 155 for the 4-day.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it goes higher, but that's gonna be what I'm saying at the moment.
Great.
Number 2, Fast X, of course. I also think this is a slam doink. Now, I think it's probably gonna have more of, like, the blockbuster type, drop. I don't think it's gonna do a Guardians 3 sort of drop here, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna say it's gonna make about 27, so we're looking
Okay.
at high 50s to 60%
Yeah.
drop here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at, like, 60 at that rate. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, Guardians.
Mhm.
I also think is a slam dunk, obviously, and I think
Mhm.
this one too is going to I think this one is gonna continue to drop pretty slow. I think it could drop I could drop 50%. So I think
Mhm.
it's gonna probably make about 17, maybe something like that.
Mhm.
Could go a little bit higher too. I think people like this movie. Surprise, surprise, people like a Marvel movie.
Mhm.
Number 4.
Gotta do
Here's
it.
where here's where we're gonna do it because Austin, we've talked ourselves into this. that I think the machine is gonna make at least $7 million in its
Wow.
3-day, right?
Wow.
So, it could go up as high as 10 in its 4-day, right?
Mhm.
Then I think, man, this is a tough one because I think that About My Father is gonna come in next here because I just don't think Kandahar is gonna make any money.
Well, you're forgetting a big one, though.
What am
You're
I
forgetting
forgetting?
the other big Italian at the box office.
I said
Forget
About My
Maniscal
Father.
No,
Oh,
forget
I'm sorry, Super Mario Brothers. Oh.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
oh,
sorry.
oh, oh. Oh, oh,
Move where the
oh.
food is. Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, you're right. That's definitely gonna be number 5.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sorry,
So,
Super Mario, of course. Yes, yeah. And then I think About My Father probably is under that.
yes, yes.
And then
And
Kandahar, I think, makes 2 million maybe
yeah, I think something
this
like
weekend.
Evil Dead or John Wick or Book Club could end up beating Kandahar's opening weekend. I mean, it's just
It's
gonna be a
definitely
it's gonna be a
possible.
shit show for Kandahar. I mean, I've got the exact same top 5.
Okay.
My number 1, Little Mermaid, I think it's gonna do 133 day, 174 day. I think it's gonna be
Okay.
big. Same thing. I mean, Fast X number 2 is gonna have a giant drop. I mean, it could end up making like 23, 24 million. I mean, this drop could be very precipitous because
Yeah.
people like Guardians more. They're still going to see Mario. The machine is gonna siphon away Fast X Bros.
Yeah.
And then number 3, Guardians. Number 4 will be the machine. And
Okay.
listen, this could go nuts and make like 9 or 10 in a 3-day. Who knows? Who knows what the audience is for this movie?
And you know what? Listen, he's not my cup of tea, this guy, Bert Kreischer.
Mhm.
But comedy needs to make a comeback. It
Yes.
truly does. And I think if you can get 9 million, $10 million worth of people to see this movie, I mean, Strays could be huge. No Hard Feelings could be really big. What is the other one? It's not, oh God, it's not Road Trip. What is it
Well,
called?
there's Joyride.
Joyride.
There's Joyride. Yep.
Joyride could
That's
be a
coming
little
out this summer.
sleeper. I
Yep.
mean, comedy needs to make a comeback, and if it starts here, then that's good. It's only good.
It's only good. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's going to be very interesting on our next episode to review how these movies did. And we'll be talking about, is Bert Kreischer a new comedy movie star? It is
Hmm,
possible this weekend starts to put him in that realm. So, very exciting
very
weekend. I
exciting.
I can't wait to see how this all shakes out. And God, I mean, I'm sort of talking myself into, do I have to see The Machine in
You have to see
theaters?
the machine.
Here's the thing. I don't have to see it this weekend, but if this movie opens to double digits, I think I may have to see it at some point in theaters.
Here's what we'll say. If this movie makes in its
Mhm.
4-day
Uh-huh.
over $10 million, we go see the machine.
Okay.
The
Done.
BO boys go put our money where our mouths are, and when we sit through this movie.
Yeah. And we eat the oldest hot dogs that that
We
theater
ask,
has
"What's
to
the oldest
offer.
hot dog you got?" Absolutely. What's
Yeah.
the one from yesterday or from a week ago? Yeah, the one that's, like, under the roller?
Yes, it got caught. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they have to go in there with a fork, and it's dangerous to even get that hot dog. It's dangerous for everyone.
Yeah, it's dangerous to eat, it's dangerous to try and fish out. They're gonna
Yeah,
have the kid with the smallest hands
yeah,
get
yeah,
in
and we
there.
will we will eat those hot dogs that are held with the tiny hands.
Yeah,
Yeah, alright, so if that movie makes 10 million in the 4-day, we are seeing The Machine, we're eating that hot dog. Uh,
absolutely.
Very exciting. Alright, Clayton, I mean, obviously, email us, we love getting your emails, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. We're YouTubers, so subscribe, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod. Thank you, Wanna BO intern Christopher, for killing it, of
Mhm.
course, with the clips. And give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell everyone you know to listen to the BO Boys. We talked about how April was the biggest month in the history of the BO Boys.
Mhm.
Guess what? Guess friggin' what?
What?
May is now about to be the biggest month in the history of the BO Boys. The numbers are there. The
Mhm.
box office is there. The numbers don't lie. The show is bigger than ever. So thank you, Wanna BO Boys, Wanna BO Girls, Wanna BO People,
People.
for supporting the show, and tell your friends and family to become part of the BO Boys. Clayton, I think that's it. That's all I got.
We definitely did it, Pat, and I don't think there's anything left to say
No.
except for
Oh.
until next time.
Will
Will smell
smell you
you at
at
the